Hi, everyone. Jane Applegath here, founder of the Epic Vision Zone, where we say life is too short to be quiet. Each show, we offer you an inspiring person or message to bring you closer to living your epic life now. Thank you for being here. And if you're listening to the audio version, go ahead and listen on your favorite app or watch it on YouTube and be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Johann Wolfgang wrote, "Magic is believing in yourself. If you can make that happen, you can make anything happen." Christie Ruffino knows all about the magic of believing in herself. As a broke single mom, she overcame challenges that seemed impossible by nourishing her mind with a positive mindset. Changing the words "why me" to "what's next" empowered her to turn her mess into her message and help guide her into discovering her true life's purpose. Today, Christie shares her journey with wisdom and with others, helping to empower women to have profitable businesses that follow their life purpose. Since 2013, she has inspired business owners, entrepreneurs, and influencers to find their signature story and build their signature program so that they can serve and support more people in less time. Now a top-rated podcast host and a multi-best-selling author, Christie guides her entrepreneurs through her signature program, Prioritize Your Purpose and Activate Your Story. The programs show her clients how to master and harness the power of story systems and community to build a dynamic brand, attract more clients, and make more money. Welcome, Christie. So nice to have you here today.
Oh, I am excited to be here with you today, Jane.
Well, we're excited to get started because I am having a blast in Christie's program, I have to tell you. So let's get started with what inspired you to do the work that you do today.
Oh, well, it all started with my story, and that was back in 2013 when somebody asked me to share my story on how I was able to overcome near bankruptcy, a very messy divorce, and eventually come out on the other side with a really impactful business. When I was invited to be in that book and share my story, my first reaction was no. The introvert in me wanted to just not share it, but I did say yes, and it was very rewarding the first time somebody thanked me for sharing my story because it helped them. And then, of course, I've had a few other people reach out to me since, but I just realized the impact stories have in the world with ourselves, right? Because I know the process of writing my story allowed me to grow into my next better story. It helps other people, and it's a really key piece of creating a unique brand in your business. So since then, I've just really been hooked on story and helping people leverage their stories in business and create a signature program to be able to leverage their wisdom in the world.
Wonderful. I could see how that could make an impact because we all resonate with story. And it's so interesting that you came to know that through sharing your own story and then seeing the impact and the influence that it had. So that is that was like the universe sending you a message almost. So what does it mean?
That's the story of my life, Jane, honestly.
Really? Wow. You must be emanating the right energy because it's certainly connected with you. So fabulous. I love it. And what does it mean then to follow your purpose, and why does it matter?
Well, I mean, I have a firm belief that everybody was created for a reason. We're just not here to breathe and just go through the motions. I feel that we have some purpose that's greater than we even may even know. But if we are open to receiving whatever message that is, whether it's, hitting enough walls and realize, okay, that's not the right way, or just really being drawn to a certain path. I just know from my personal experience by working with other people and just by my beliefs that if we follow our purpose and we go down the path that we were created to go down, we're going to make a bigger impact. We're going to be able to support the world in a way bigger way than if we were just to kind of just like live a half life. And I just feel that there's a lot of people that coast. I know our first set of books were Overcoming Mediocrity, because it's really easy sometimes to coast through life. But if we make the hard decisions and do the path that we're meant to go down, then I really believe that that is how we're going to create that ripple effect to serve other people in a greater way.
Yes, absolutely. It's aligning with your divine self almost.
Yes,
You know,
I love
and a
that.
lot of times that, yes, and a lot of times that doesn't come to us until we make the space to allow it to happen and then say yes to it. Yes, absolutely. Finding your purpose is very purposeful indeed.
Yeah.
So
And I,
here's the area. Yes, absolutely. And here's the area where you shine. How can a book help leverage and monetize your business?
well, there's a lot of things that we can do with a book to leverage it. Um, First and foremost, I think we really all owe it to the world to be able to get our stories out there, share it, if not for our business, for legacy purposes. I know I'm very grateful to be in the position that I'm in because I was able to get my mom's story written and printed, and not only did she have a chapter in one of my books, but I created a whole book around her story and stories of other people that they had of her. And so I think at the very least, we should all have our stories out there. But in business, it is really a way for you to position yourself different than your competitors and get your ideal clients or your prospective clients to realize that you have a passion to help them. You understand what they're going through, and you really have a mission to be able to help them on their journey.
Yes. And what I see too, what I've learned from you is that your book becomes your calling card because you can
Yeah.
present that. You can use it to step into maybe a speaking position or to have some influence in different areas that people might not have known that you were proficient in, because your book, it will resonate with those who are there to find you, but also it gives people an idea of who you are and where you're coming from. So I love to see it as that.
Yeah, well, so in addition to your story, if we're able to share our wisdom, our processes, even when we do get out and get those speaking engagements, it allows the audience to take a little more of us home with them. They can continue to
Mm.
learn from us through our book. They can continue to be inspired by us from our books. And having a book is a calling card, but it's also a great way to be able to help a lot of people share your wisdom to the masses.
I love that. Take me home with you.
Yeah.
That's golden. Well, thank you for sharing that. So, in authoring your story, you have been teaching us, because as I said, I'm in Christie's program and loving it, that it is paramount to know your ideal client, who you are speaking to. So, what questions do we need to ask ourselves to discover who they might be? Like, what is their big problem? What are the results they might be looking for? Are these some of the questions that, as the writer, we want to keep in mind when we're writing our book?
Yeah, well, so there's a lot of kind of factors that went into that question. First of all, when we're thinking about our ideal client, it's about recognizing that we shouldn't be the generalist in our area, that we should become the specialist, and that we should find out who our ideal clients are so we can get to know their needs in a way more in-depth manner. I mean, just think about if you need to go have brain surgery. Are you going to go to your general doctor to get that done? No, you're going to go to the brain surgeon that has spent thousands and thousands and thousands of hours learning their craft and practicing it. And so in business, the first thing is to recognize or embrace the concept of being a specialist, which means niching down, which means you can't help everybody. And that sometimes is one of the biggest hurdles that professionals have, is because they want to help everybody. And I get that. I want to help everybody too. But when you can position yourself as an expert, you can now become the go-to person. You can become more referable. Everybody knows, all right, if Jane needs brain surgery, well, they're going to go to the brain surgeon. And so just the mindset around niching down, I think, is the first obstacle. And then once you realize, okay, yes, I am comfortable niching down because I live in a world of abundance, then you figure out who that person is and get very clear about it. Like, what is their age? What is their demographic? What is their family life? You have to understand exactly who that person is and everything they do with their life, and then hone in on their biggest pain. And what happens with most people is we don't necessarily take action and create change unless our pain is big enough. So that's why it's important to have a niche and determine your ideal client, because it's not about when you want a client. It's about when your offer intersects with their need at the time when they're ready to make a decision to change. And so once you figure out who that ideal client is and you get clarity around that, and you do everything in your business to serve that person, now you're going to become like a magnet to that group of people.
Absolutely. That was so well put. Thank you so much for that information. Well, here's something that's so exciting. And one of the things that has really lit me on fire in delving into Christie's program, AI story activation secrets. So we're beginning to use AI now. You have brilliantly introduced the power of AI into your story program. Tell us about this and how it makes a huge difference for those of us staring at a blank page.
Yeah, I totally get it. I love books. I've always wanted to be an author, but the writing process isn't as easy as we would like to think it would be. If it was, everybody would be doing it. And so I have, for the last 12 years, been working with women, I will say in the beginning, very clumsily, to help them craft their signature story. And so throughout the years and working with so many people, I feel, got a great framework of not only, finding the right story, but to be able to share it in a way that's going to make the biggest impact with that person's audience, their ideal audience. And so because I've got this framework and it's easy for me to help my clients, pinpoint their power story and like really hone in on, like the big message they want to share, I can help them and we can kind of create the framework, and they can walk away from a meeting with me with knowing the points of their story, but then they get back to their computer and they're just kind of stuck. So what I've done, because I'm learning a lot about AI, is I have put together a series of prompts that follows my seven stage story framework. And I also created a GPT that helps the person that's using it really dive into creating a powerful story. So the combination of my prompts and this GPT has been like a huge help for people to get their story out of their head onto paper, and onto paper in a way that is their voice, but yet brings in like a writing style that they may not have. And then once they've got their whole story put together, then it's up to that person to go back and adjust it and tweak it and make sure that it is truly their story in their true voice, and that is going to make the biggest impact with their readers. And it could be done in just a couple hours, as opposed to days and days and days or weeks that some of my clients have taken in the past to get their stories written.
Oh, yes, absolutely. What I like to say is I treat the AI as my new BFF and my
Yep.
partner. So they
Yep.
need to understand who you are, where you're coming from, and then you have brilliantly written prompts that introduce whether you're coming from a marketing point of view, whether you're coming from a spiritual level, whatever it might be. And like you said, then you obviously reread that and edit it in your voice. But I have to say, it is absolutely brilliant. Anyone who's been struggling to author a book, you need to join Christie's program, because I am in seventh heaven. I mean, I've been wanting to write a book for years, and it's just like the thought of it was so overwhelming. I just kept putting it on the back burner. And then Christie brought up this whole program that uses AI to be our virtual assistants, basically, within our heads and out of our heads, and extrapolating that information. And it it is just a game changer. That's all I can say. It is such a game changer, and I would encourage anyone to just delve in and stop putting it on the back burner, because now you have all the assistance you need, and you don't have to be staring at that blank sheet of paper anymore. And it's really fun. I have to tell you, it's really fun.
It's fun.
It is. It's taking the
It's
struggle. Go ahead.
No, I'm agreeing with you. It is a lot of fun when you kind of get those prompts out and you kind of coach the AI assistant on the various stages of your story. And then it just takes that data, like the raw data, the bullet points that you give it, and it like just words it in this great way. It's just really neat to read it. You're like, oh my gosh, that's my story. So it's kind of cool.
I know, it's great. It's like author your book and have fun at the same time, right? I mean,
Yes.
what a concept. It's terrific.
I know.
Well, tell our audience about your Epic Academy.
Well, so I have Epic Mastery, which is a program that helps people once they, I mean, it really depends on where they're at in the stage of their business, but if they have their story and they want to create a business, creating transformations in the lives of others, that would be a great fit for the program. Or if they've already been helping people, but they're not necessarily making they're not making a lot of money and they're working too much. And so I help them create a scalable business by crafting their signature program. And it's more of a higher ticket program that is, I believe, more impactful to their clients. A lot of people learn when they get into the coaching business or the expert business to create, courses and little programs and all these things. And they're great. People buy them, but they don't necessarily consume them. But if you have a really well-designed program that takes people from where they're at to where they want to be, then you can charge more because they're willing to buy their dreams. And it allows you to have a better cash flow, so you can have a team or bring in a virtual assistant or have the right systems in place. And so Epic Mastery has been a really game changer for me since I've been teaching it about a year now. And it's just really rewarding for me to see my clients start bringing in the money and hitting their revenue milestones, and just having these success stories from their clients as their clients are going through the programs that I help them create.
Yes, your signature program. And that's one of the things actually that I found, Christy, that's helped me in just creating the book, and getting AI to help. So for me, that's the first step, because you do have to have an idea of what that might look like. But then taking the next step would be this program that you're referring to, and that takes you into monetizing what you've written about in your book. So it's a great progression of your business and your business, I guess your business plan. So you can, it's really fabulous. I love it. So what advice would you give your younger self based on what you know now?
Well, I think for me, I lived my life for many years playing it safe. And in that playing it safe, I focused all my energy on helping other people, helping my husband have a thriving business, helping my kids grow up and have their best life. And of course, when I initially started in business after my divorce, I had a networking organization for women. And so my focus was all around helping other people be successful. And I love doing that, but it was safe for me and it kept me out of the being in this risky space. And so I just really wish I would have embraced my mission earlier and stepped into my purpose, because I feel the time that I spent like dragging my feet. And I didn't realize it at the time. I really thought I was following my purpose, but I wasn't doing what I was called to do. And so now that I am, I just feel that everything is in alignment. I just feel so much joy. And more importantly, I see how my clients are finding joy in their life too.
Yes, I know earlier you said your someday, one day story, and I love that because it so resonated with me. You know, someday, one day I will do this, and someday, one day I will do
Mhm.
that. And you, that's what a lot of individuals do and a lot of women do. And so
Yeah.
your someday, one day is now. You know,
Yeah. I
you
mean,
got, you got,
we tend
go
to
ahead.
as women we just tend to as women want to serve, and that we're nurturers, right? We tend to find comfort in that, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's, I think, very wonderful. But if we're doing it at the expense of serving ourselves, that's when I feel that we need to look at that in a deep way to make sure we're doing that for the right reason. So that's all I just wanted to say.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's great advice. So tell our audience about your podcast and where they can find you.
Yes. Well, my podcast is called the Mastery Unleashed podcast. I shifted it because we used to be focused on overcoming mediocrity. And now I feel that my clients and my life doesn't resonate at all with being mediocre. So we are all about embracing our mastery and unleashing our future self. And so I have been interviewing some amazing guests over the last few years, and it's really all around having them share their story, which is their why. They're so passionate about what they do, and then they share some wisdom. They share teaching tips, resources, anything that will help our audience learn in addition to being inspired by the stories. And then most of my guests also leave or share a free gift. And so we have an amazing gift vault that has a whole collection of free gifts from all of our clients throughout the years. And it's just been really neat to see how not only our audience loves our gift vault and they're loving our shows, but then our clients, a lot of them have never shared their story publicly before. They've never been on a stage. They've never had an audience. And so they get on my show and they're like, oh, I don't know what to do. But then I just kind of like, oh, we're just going to have fun. And if you mess up, you're going to be on one of our blooper episodes. And so it's, for a lot of them, their first time on a stage. And it's just really neat to see them go from that first awkward interview to now then, months or years later, seeing them rocking a big stage and having, 7-figure businesses and just doing amazing things in the world. It's just neat to see the transformation.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all a practice, right?
It is. It
Life
is.
is a practice for sure. Yeah. Well, thank you. That was, yeah, I could see the joy that it brings you too. I could just feel it. It's wonderful that when you have an impact on someone's life, because that's what we're all here to do is share our gifts, and those
Right.
gifts will influence and impact others. So give us some insight into your best-selling books and why they resonate, because these are what you call anthologies. So maybe give individuals an idea of what that means and how they sort of have a ripple effect, and how that's one of the reasons that they become bestsellers.
Okay. So, yes, I mentioned earlier that I am an avid reader, and I've always, like, I longed to have my own book, but I never really thought it was possible. Like, only important people have books, until somebody asked me to share my story. And that was my first book. And it was just a little chapter. I didn't realize how significant it would become for me. But I have gone on to produce a lot of anthologies. I've had quite a few books of my own. I produced a book I mentioned about my mom, which is really kind of neat. But what I love about anthologies, I'm sure most people that are listening has heard about the Chicken Soup for the Soul books. And they're very popular. People love reading those books. They love reading people's stories. And I love that model. However, our books aren't really meant to like position me as an expert like, Jack Canfield's books are. It's about his business. This is about our authors. And so we do a lot to make sure that every single author who shares their story in one of our books is clear on their message, shares it in a powerful way, and gets in front of their audience. Because we have a lot of marketing efforts that we do to share our books and share our particular individual authors, and then the authors themselves. And that's a big thing that people don't recognize, that when you have your own book, although it's amazing to have your own book, unless you have a huge marketing budget, your book is not going to be seen by a lot of people. However, if you're in a co-authored book or an anthology, you have 20, 25 other people hustling your book for you as well. And so that is an opportunity that gets your story in front of countless people. I know we've had, gosh, in our books in the past, we do our production a little differently now, but I mean, we've had up to like 5,000 orders per volume. And so that's like 5,000 books out in the marketplace that are being read by all kinds of people. And so it's just kind of neat to be able to have that massive exposure by just writing a little chapter. And it's faster, it's easier, and it's way more economical than publishing your whole book. I believe it should be the baby step, the first step to writing your whole book. But if you don't even do a chapter in the book, you're really missing out on a huge kind of value add for your business.
Yes, absolutely. And you're right. It just provides a ripple effect. And I was going to ask you about the publishing industry, and you touched a little bit on that, because we did speak when I first started conversing with Christie, and the insight in the publishing industry. And yes, you can self-publish today, but maybe you can tell our audience you have a powerhouse of a publishing company, and it does all the bells and whistles that you don't even know are there, because if you're not aware of that industry, there is so much that one can do and should do. But often, like you said, unless you have the budget for that, which becomes very costly, it's prohibitive. But with Christie and her program, you're tapping into all of that potential. So just give our audience a little insight into some of those variables that you can get through your program.
Yeah, so there are lots of ways that publishing has evolved throughout the years. And when we think about publishing, we think about the old school traditional publishing. And that's where a publishing house picks you up and they give you an advance, and then you write the book, and it's just like this huge thing. And they still have that, but you have to be pretty famous for a traditional publisher to pick you up. Then the next kind of like rung on the ladder is a hybrid publisher. And they do a little bit of what the traditional publisher does, a little bit what a self-publisher does. However, it tends to be very costly. And as an expert, it's not necessarily always the best decisions, because that hybrid publisher will own the rights to your content, your intellectual property. And so what we do is we are a self-publishing support service. We can do the whole package, or we can do a la carte services. It's not the core of our business, but what we do is we do what you would do as a self-publisher without you having to learn how to do it all, and without you making a lot of mistakes, and without you having the right resources. We have a team of people that can do all of the different pieces to make sure you have a amazing product done in an efficient, no hassle way. And then what we do is we will set that book up on your Amazon account. So then you get the royalties, you maintain ownership of your intellectual property. And then when it's done, we just walk away. It's yours. So it's been a really neat way to help people, first of all, learn about the options. And then second of all, make sure they don't kind of get, for lack of other words, screwed, because I've talked to a lot of people that have spent thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to have somebody publish their book, and they're just sitting there. They're not doing anything. And so you can spend less money, have us help you self-publish. And then if you have a budget, then you can actually hire a marketing team that's going to go out and do what they need to do to actually market you.
Right. Yes. So valuable. Absolutely. So valuable. I learned so much just speaking with Christie about the publishing industry and why it really counts to have someone have your back. And you need, as coaches, as entrepreneurs, we need to do what we know best. And learning the publishing industry is not what we want to be doing, and it takes a lot of time, effort, and money. So with Christie's program and the whole AI story production and creation, it's just a fabulous package, I have to say. And I know I keep going on about that, and I'm not making any money off of this, but I'm in seventh heaven. I mean, I was like, I'm finally going to write a chapter in a book. And that's, like you said, my first
Yeah,
step, because I'm very
first step.
excited about it. I
Yeah.
really am.
Well,
So
and
go ahead.
one of the things people don't realize is if you realize your mission, well, like I like to say, is a lot of times people realize their mess has become their mission. Then they want to like serve the world in a bigger way and then monetize that mission. And so when people figure out their stories, they get it out there and they grow and they're ready to take the next step. I help them put together their signature program. Now, your signature program should contain your signature steps, your own unique methodology. And that step-by-step process ideally can become your signature book. And those are the different chapters. And so what I used to teach people is how to write their book. However, what happened is not a lot of people kept that book writing goal a priority. It was like, I'm going to get it done one of these days. However, when I help them create their signature program, I help them design it. I help them fill it. I help them get their students through it. As they're teaching it, those modules can become their chapters. That content can be transcribed, add stories, use AI, fluff it up, spruce it up. And then you all of a sudden have your signature book more as a positioning tool for your business, because a book doesn't make a lot of money, but a high ticket program can make you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So that's where I've shifted, is I help people put their signature program together and then create a book from the content that they've delivered.
That's brilliant. And then they get to take the
Yep.
book home, which has the
Yeah.
program in
Well,
it
and it's a
through the
great tool.
chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you get a new
Ab-
client, they buy your program, and then you just send them the book. And now they've got a companion book that goes along with the program that they're working on. And they feel awesome because they got a signature signed book from you. And like, there's just a lot of great ways that you can use that book to kind of grow your business.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I love that. That is just brilliant, the way you've walked through that. Well, Christie, if there was one critical message you could share with the world, what would it be?
Get out of your own way. Get out of your own way.
I
The
love
world will
that.
wait. There's somebody out there right now that needs your help. And every minute that you are delaying the support of that person, it's another day that they're suffering. And I am a true believer that when you are aligned with your purpose, the right people, the right resources, and the right opportunities will come to you at the right time, because the reason is right. So if you're running your business and you feel that it's like not coming together, you just don't feel it's flowing, get out of your own way. Make sure you're taking the right path. Make sure you're doing the hard thing maybe to make a change. But then once you follow your purpose, it will become very easy.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. Because you will be opening up to what the universe gave you. And that's when
Yep.
you get into alignment. Absolutely. I love that. Well, I have one last question for you, Christie, because we're here on the Epic Vision Zone. If your life were an epic story, what would the title be?
You know, I have I have a book that I am creating. I've been creating it for a while. It's called The Unlikely Expert, and it is about my journey and the wisdom that I want to share on it, because I think if people can relate, there's a lot about what I do that is completely out of my comfort zone. I'm an introvert. I am not the best communicator. It's something that I work on. Ask me to be on a stage in front of a bunch of people and I will like freeze. So there's a lot of things that I do that aren't necessarily, I feel, my gift, but I am persistent. I'm doing the best I can to follow my purpose, even though I'm not liking it at times. But I believe everybody can be the unlikely expert, and as long as they're kind of stepping into their brave best version of themselves.
Yes, that's absolutely right. I love it. And I love that you're moving out of your comfort zone, because that's the only way we grow. Staying in your
Yep.
comfort zone means that you're going to be, that's it. You're just never going to change. You're never
Most.
going to try anything. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you're growing by leaps and bounds. I can feel it. I think it's great. Well, thank you again, Christie, for joining us here today. And for information and to connect with Christie, go to the Epic Vision Zone bio pages, where you will find all of her social media and direct contact information, plus all of the information on her incredible course. So be sure to follow me on Instagram at Jane Applegath. And don't forget to connect with me at janeapplegath.com, where you can access your free downloads, the Creative Power and Vision Play Sheet. Sending you much love and triumph. This is the Epic Vision Zone, transforming your dreams into epic success.